Thanks so much for joining us, Vas. Let me ask first off about this psoriasis treatment. How much do you expect the growth to continue? How well can this treat the problem?
We're very confident on the Cosentyx growth story. We believe we have a great product here with a strong profile. We believe we've been able to really manage the access environment in the United States to enable us to continue to grow. It's a very successful medicine in both areas, psoriasis and rheumatology, that it plays in. So we're very confident about the growth prospects. We also feel confident that we can meet the consensus for the full year and then also see continued growth well into the future.
Vas, on the call, good morning, it's Guy Johnson. On the call this morning, you were talking about the fact that you are voluntarily going to pull back from price increases in the United States this year. Can I ask you two questions around that? One, what was the catalyst behind that decision? And two, how temporary a phenomenon is this?
You know, look, when I looked at the policy environment with our team in the U.S. and we see this dynamic environment, we thought the prudent thing to do was to pull back on any further price increases in 2018 and evaluate as the environment evolves. Look, I think longer term, our approach is going to be to price our medicines based on the value they deliver. Value-based pricing is something I believe very strongly in. I also believe there needs to be value-based access to those medicines when we price in an appropriate way. And then, of course, you know, we're going to want to look at price increases in line with the way medical inflation overall is happening across the sector. I would note that when you look at net prices for us in the U.S., our net prices, as we published in our transparency report, have really been flat to declining. So with the rebates that we've been having to pay pharmacy benefit managers, we really see net prices flat to declining. And so longer term, we feel confident that we can grow based on our innovative pipeline, driving volume and managing this pricing dynamic.
Well, one of the interesting thing here is that holding prices down is one of the key campaign promises that Donald Trump made before coming into office, and he continues to talk about it as far as drug pricing in the U.S. Is this in any way an attempt to help the president achieve that goal?
Look, I'm very much focused on the overall policy environment in the U.S. because in the long run, a company like ours that participates around the world in medicines and distributing medicines for decades, we need to create a sustainable environment. We're very positive on the blueprint that the administration has put forward and that we've commented on, as others have commented on in the recent week. And we look forward to seeing some of the important policy changes start to come into force that create a more sustainable system. And that's something we want to be a constructive partner to HHS and finding reasonable solutions to creating a more sustainable environment for patient affordability, but also importantly to enable high-tech innovation to happen, because we know there's a lot of unmet need. There's a lot of people who die before reaching their full life expectancy. We want to improve healthcare in the U.S. and around the world, so we need a sustainable environment for innovation and access.
Vas, can we just talk a little bit about your perspective on Alcon? How much money do you want for it? What's the value that you expect to get for it? Do you have a clear idea in your mind at this point?
You know, with the announcement to spin Alcon to our shareholders, assuming we get the relevant approvals next year, we're quite excited because we look at Alcon as a leading medical devices business in ophthalmology. It's a $20 billion market that continues to grow with unmet needs in eye care around the world. Alcon is the market leader both in the device segment and the vision care segment, and it's now really being spun into its own company from a position of strength. I think you've heard from us a range of $20 to $30 billion that we've already put out into the public domain. I mean, that is the range, but of course it's going to depend on the market at that moment in time. But I think the key thing is when you look longer term at this business, this is a strong business, a market leader with a strong innovation portfolio that can grow well into the future. And now when it has its freedom to invest its capital as it sees fit into that capability, I think it's going to be an attractive investment for investors.
Vas, I want to ask a question about the trade conflicts that we've been reporting so much about. Clearly, your business, I mean, people are going to get sick regardless of trade restrictions. However, it's going to affect the global economy. It's going to affect how much money people make and are able to spend. How do you see the global trade conflict, the developing trade war affecting the economy and the pharmacy business?
You know, when I look at it, I think about it on three levels. First is just operationally from a logistics standpoint. Can we ensure our supply chains operate the way they need to operate? And on that level, we feel pretty good about where we are. We feel like it's not going to be a disruption to our global supply chains that run across, of course, the U.S., China, Europe, and elsewhere around the world. On the second level is underlying demand for our medicines. And there, again, I think given the unmet needs and given the importance of healthcare to countries around the world, we believe that investment in healthcare will be maintained. But of course, we also operate in a macroeconomic environment which needs to be attractive for investment, needs to be attractive for the movement of people, our ability to transact all around the world. And on that level, I think it is more concerning when you look at the overall trade discussion that's happening. I'm hopeful there'll be a pragmatic solution between all of the parties so this can come to a resolution and we can enable global growth to continue.